This is a crazy match. I am really starting to love playing destroyers. They are a perfect combination of damage, stealthiness, alpha strike, DPM, everything. They're so good. I'm really actually starting to love destroyers. And playing them in ranked can be very, very, very satisfying. Your decisions matter. That's the really key thing here with destroyers. Your decisions matter. And you have two different types of destroyers, with some in between. You have the torpedo boats and you have the gunboats. Here is an example of a gunboat. And eventually I'll probably get some torpedo boat examples on the channel, but gunboats are pretty simple. You're trying to fight the enemy destroyers with your guns. You're trying to take favorable trades, and you're trying to win the game by killing the enemy destroyers, pushing them off the caps, that kind of thing. And Smaland is really, really good at that, but you don't need to have Smaland to play the way I do here. Yes, the radar does help, but instead of radaring, maybe I just would have been in a destroyer with better concealment, and we would have spotted each other at the same time. Right? The radar isn't quite necessary here, but the Smaland's combination of speed, when its speed boost is active, and healing definitely does help things. But as far as gun power goes, Daring has very strong gun power as well, assuming you know how to lead. You can see the arcs are similar between the Daring and the Smaland. Mine are probably slightly better, but not a huge difference. I truly do think that this game could have been done in not any destroyer, but any good gunboat destroyer that either has decent concealment to spot enemy destroyers at a reasonable distance, or a radar like this ship that can nullify that concealment advantage. And that's what this ship has, right? I'm not running full concealment on this ship. It's got a 6.8 kilometer detect right now. And that's okay because my radar range is 7.5 kilometers. So if I get detected, I know somebody's well within my radar range. I pop radar and I spot them. So I free up a few points then on my commander to take some more survivability skills, some more damaging skills, that kind of thing. Smaland does get the nice fast torpedoes like the Holland, but you don't quite have the range on the torpedoes, and you get a few less torpedoes. But the torpedoes can still do some pretty solid work on this ship. But you're definitely more focused on the guns, and that's how I have this ship built up. At this point, we have no caps, and we're down 2 destroyers. And this game is quickly getting out of hand. I would say pretty easily that this would normally be a loss. Usually. Not all the time, but very often this looks like a loss. We're losing all the caps. Our Montana is kind of left alone versus a carrier and 2 destroyers. So he's likely going to go down. We catch the Holland here a little bit, but he's running away already, so it's unlikely we're going to kill him. It's very difficult to kill a destroyer that's already running like that on reasonably high HP. Playing a gunboat can be difficult. You do rely on having HP to trade with. If you're in a gunboat and you waste a lot of your health early on in trading poorly, if you get caught by enemy radars early and take a bunch of damage, or maybe a battleship blaps you, you really, really suffer then. And that's why early on, I'm trying to take fights and trades where I don't have to risk my HP too much. I'm trying to turn away from these fights and deal damage with what I think is my superior ability to aim and possibly dodge shells. That's my goal. Right. I don't keep charging this Holland because the Daring is there. That seems pretty simple, but maybe if you tunnel vision on the Holland, you don't realize the Daring's there, and then you end up taking a bunch of damage. Unfortunately, our Gearing and I here end up being really close to one another trying to dodge these torpedoes. But we'll try and make some room for our Gearing to play. Unfortunately, I didn't quite see him there. But playing a gunboat destroyer, in my mind, is not constantly about gunboating. You can play the stealth game. You can play the torpedo game as well with a lot of these gunboats. The Smaland has decent enough torpedoes that it's a threat to battleships and cruisers. They're fast enough that they can really catch the enemy, even if they're making a turn at longer ranges, that kind of thing. I'm predicting this curve first is going to turn out slightly. Maybe try and go through the gap, bow onto the Thunder, that kind of thing. Try and get away from the destroyers on my team and just kind of isolate on that Thunder. That would be a good play for him. And that's something that can really help with running your torpedoes and doing a good job of your torpedo launches, is thinking about what the enemy ship wants to do. I think, or thought, that Kerr first wanted to get into a position to deal with that Thunderer, with his Conqueror helping him. So we torp there, and we get a few torpedo hits, bumping our damage up quite nicely, and I think this guy damage controlled, so we seemingly have a double flood on him, which is around what 2 or 3 fires will do, assuming they tick for the full time. Pretty nice. Something you want to avoid doing is launching your torpedoes at someone and then immediately gunboating those people, because that's an easy tell for a battleship player or a cruiser player, whoever you're torpedoing, that you probably launch torps, assuming you're within torpedo range. They can probably tell that you're within torpedo range, and that they should take some evasive action. They know your position, and it's really easy. At this point, however, I want to note the situation here. We've killed the Kerr first, we brought things back, but before we did that, we'd lost our carrier, we'd lost a battleship, and we'd lost 2 of our destroyers. And we were left in a pretty rough situation. A 3 versus 6. And before our Montana traded, it was a 4 versus 7, which is not how you want to start this game. Now, our Thunder is kind of off on a solo mission against the Conqueror. Hopefully our gearing is able to help him with that, and they'll be able to kill this Conqueror together. It's kind of a 2v1 there, isolated. And I have the massive task of dealing with 3 destroyers here on the sea cap. And you might think that that's really a really bad fight to take, and you'd be right, assuming you don't isolate 1v1s. I've said this in battleships, the goal is to create 1v1s using island cover and isolate. Same thing is true for destroyers. And that's what I'm going to do here. One thing to note, we know for sure that Daring is in his last known position because he was shooting and he smoked up there. So all we have to do is find this Ugamo and this Holland and try and isolate some 1v1s there. My team lists show that the Ugamo is on low HP, so my goal is going to be to find the Ugamo and kill him quickly, and then isolate a 1v1 on this Holland. So we notice the torps. That's probably Ugamo torps. They're relatively slow, easy to detect, and there's the Ugamo. So we need to kill him quickly. Holland pops up, so we have to turn away right away. We can't just charge into a Holland that's on 14,000 HP when we only have 11,000 HP. We need some time to get our heal off and try and even up this trade. So we pull back, we dodge the torpedoes, we pop our heal. Daring is still exactly where he was. That means that we have the ability to go isolate a 1v1 on this Holland. So I pop my speed boost, which is a big thing on the Smaland. It increases your speed by a lot. And my goal is to go charge this Holland down. I don't know what he's going to do. If he charges around the corner, that's the wrong play for him. He should be trying to cut back, double back, and meet up with his Daring. That's how they win. They win by meeting up and fighting me 2 versus 1. And I win if I can catch this Holland out. I don't have RPF, but I am RPF located, and I'm guessing that he pops out here. And he does. If he didn't pop out here, I would have assumed he went back to his Daring, and I would have had to approach the situation a lot more carefully. But fortunately, Smaland definitely has better guns than Holland, and we turn away because we noticed that the Holland wasn't shooting right away. If a destroyer doesn't immediately start engaging you with his guns, it means he's torping you. It's just a telltale sign, and that means you got to get ready for that. So I made a mental note of where he torped from, and then decided to angle away from that to try and dodge the torpedoes while gunboating at the same time. That's where free look comes in handy, like massively. You aim your guns, get everything set up and ready for to shoot, and then you keep shooting, holding mouse 1, double clicking, whatever you want to do, and then you can hold right click to get a better view of your surroundings while your guns are still trained on that previous position. Free look is amazing in those scenarios, and that's how I was able to continue shooting this guy while looking at my surroundings, dodging these torpedoes, that kind of thing, making it just a little bit easier on myself. Now our radar is back up. Perfect timing to go engage this daring. I do know that I have a little bit of a health advantage on him, which is really nice, and that's what the little bit of trading and shooting him at longer ranges has done throughout the game. This is the same daring that we fought at the very beginning of the game. He's done a great job of staying alive and trying to take these trades with me to kill me, but I've just out-traded him a little bit better. But he's been playing incredibly well. He does get caught, unfortunately, running into an island here. I'm not sure why he didn't immediately open up and start shooting me with his guns, but regardless, it makes my life a lot easier that he just decides to not shoot or do anything, really. And by the time he does shoot and smoke up, my radar runs out, but we know exactly where he was, so we can blind fire a little bit and hopefully take him out. And that's it. We just won a 3 versus 1 on our flank. Yes, some of that has to do with Smaland, but I think I could have done that with basically any other gunboat destroyer on similar health pools. But mainly because other gunboats, like Daring, for example, I probably could have done that with Daring because Daring's concealment is better, and I would have just, instead of getting spotted and radaring, I would have just spotted the enemy ships at the same time they spotted me, or nearabouts that, right? So I think Smaland definitely makes it a little easier. The ship is very good. I'm not trying to say the ship is bad. Smaland definitely makes these things a little easier, but if you don't have a Smaland, you can definitely play this similar playstyle in a ship like Daring, for example. It also has very, very strong guns. It also has a heal. It has a smoke screen even, so you can take different engagements where you can smoke up and allow your teammates to spot the enemy destroyer who started shooting you, and then you get an advantage that way. Each ship has its own strengths and weaknesses, but a 3 versus 1 on the sea cap here on Mountain Range was a pretty fun time for me. I really enjoyed this game. It was hard, it was difficult, but it was a fun experience, and we won, which is always a nice bonus. And props to our Gearing for going over and securing the other flank. He managed to kill the enemy Conqueror with our Thunderer. And yeah, overall, just a really great game, and I had a lot of fun with it, even though it wasn't looking so good at the start. And here you can see just how much damage we did to destroyers. We nearly did 60,000 damage to the Holland and Daring alone, and we took 21,000 damage in return from everybody. So we out-traded quite well. So for those of you that are curious, here's my Smaland build right now. Very survival focused here, with definitely some DPM and damage skills as well. Once the Fearless Brawler skill gets buffed, meaning next patch there's going to be the nerf of detectability will no longer be there, I'll likely take Fearless Brawler over Main Battery and AA Specialist. That'll give me a 5% boost to my DPM than what it currently is, because this is 5% and this is 10%. Eventually, I'll maybe try and fit both in. I'm not quite sure, but it's nice to not have to... You don't have to take concealment because of that radar. Very nice. And yeah, we do still take Concealment System Mod 1. That way we get a reasonable 6.8. If you don't take concealment here, it goes up to, I think, 7.6 or 7.7 detect. And that's not quite as nice, even though your radar range is right in that area. Prop mod, because it really helps to get up to speed to dodge torpedoes, and we want to extend our speed boost as much as possible, because the speed boost is a 30% speed boost, not a simple little 8% or 20% one. It is massive. It makes this ship very difficult to hit, assuming you know how to use your throttle to dodge. Yeah, Smaland is a very good ship, but I think a lot of other gunboats like Daring or maybe even Grozovoy, Harugumo could have pulled off what I did as well. Anything with good guns and decent concealment could have done that game as well. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I sure did. And have a good day.